Yeah, but it is not.
Hi, everybody. But yeah,
I do not want to be putting any shit fuel in it.
No, I run premium, or not premium, but non-ethanol through it, and so it'd probably be okay if I got out and just went and run it all. But it's such a small motor, I don't want to fuck up the.
I would never want to. In fact, what I read from Sunset Check Engine Light is on those Priuses, they really recommend premium fuel because of the just less oil, less buildup.
Yeah, I run all freaking non-ethanol.
Oh, you do? Where do you fill up at?
Maverick.
They have Maverick?
Yep, all of them.
Oh, yeah, the blue one.
The blue gas. It's
That's
fucking
right.
$4.80 a gallon right now, dude. It's cost like 35-40 cents more to get gasoline without ethanol in it, like the way they just used to make it.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, what's worse is diesel.
Yeah,
this is a fucking waste product.
It's a byproduct of gasoline. It costs
yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, we live in a weird world. But you know what, my friend? We are on the leading edge. So to me, like, because I play it as a game, fuel and stuff like that, like, I'm not upset.
No. What are you gonna do?
Yeah.
What are you gonna do? I mean, you can ride your bike if you want to. I got out of yoga this morning and I looked across the street and there was all these people standing on the corner. I thought maybe it was some kind of a protest or something. And
that many people?
Yeah. And they were all waiting for the bus.
No way.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's just right down on Broadway. So, probably a lot of college people. But there was a shit ton of people.
How many would you say, if you had to guess?
Oh, 15.
No way.
Yeah, 15 people. 10, 15. 10 at least. 15, maybe, 16.
Did you maybe track the demographic?
There were...
so it's a good assumption.
It was multicultural. It was a multicultural group.
Oh, man.
So... But I was thinking the same thing. I was like, well, shit, maybe this summer, man. Or maybe when... I used to ride the bus around all the time when I was in San Diego. I fucking love that shit, man. It was fucking great.
Okay.
Cheap as shit, dude. Like, I don't have to park. I could just hop on the bus most time for free.
Where are you going, though?
Like, if you're going, like, from Ocean... Well, like, if you... Yeah, I know... It would be different. It would be weird.
You can use them if you want. I'm just testing them.
Yeah, no, I want them to look cool.
Yeah, do it then, dude.
Right here, I'm giving a shout out to my boy at Barker Contracting. You see that up there?
A Barker Contracting Services LLC. If you need any sort of
excavation, pool building, concrete
Did he do your
work,
pool?
He didn't, and he's mad about it. He got mad about it. So
we're not recording.
That's
yet?
why I got this hat over that.
Oh, because he gave you a quote, but then you didn't go with
it?
him?
I forgot that. I didn't know that he was doing. I didn't know that he was doing pools. Man, he was building pole barns.
Oh, really?
Pole barns for years, and we built that pool ourselves. And he came over for the baby shower. He's like, "What the hell?" And I was like, "Oh, well, sorry, dude. I didn't know."
Yeah, I didn't know you were my guy.
And then he built like 5 pools that summer and sent me pictures of every single one of them. I'm like, see, stupid shit. That's what you could have had.
Do you think they're better?
Yeah.
You do?
Oh, well, ours cost a lot less. So that was, I said, if you would have come over and pour this pool concrete for the cost that we bought this fiberglass one for, we'd do it.
We would have done it.
Yeah, we would have done it.
And that would have been a good time too. That was right before all this other shenanigans.
So that video, man.
Which one?
The younger guy that had the 60 years of inflation history and the recession to follow. That guy, it was like a 16 or 18 minute video.
I'm trying to get him on.
No shit.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, where's he from?
I think Austin, Texas now is where he's based out of.
Oh, so just do like a tele-podcast with him?
Oh, yeah. And what I really want is, so we have 4 chairs. I'd like to get someone that's very pro Boise real estate. Someone I have another good friend that does a lot of pre-foreclosure and stuff like that. I'd like to get him, and then I'd like to have that guy. Because I think of any of them, Boise's in the top 5 of the biggest bubble markets. Like when it hits here, it's not going to be very gradual here. It's going to be a punch right in the dick.
Yeah, no, I was just talking to a client on the way over here, and I saw that last summer. and all it took, it was quickly recovered, but because I listed Mark's house at this, like, shit had been so crazy all winter and spring, and was just pumping up and through June. I mean, just whatever you listed a house for, just sold for more. I mean, it was just fucking stupid, you know. And we listed Mark's house like Father's Day weekend, like mid to late June, and I mean, it literally was like a light switch, dude. It just changed overnight.
This market sentiment, or
the whole market, because all of a sudden it went from like having, like it is currently right now, there's like, don't know the exact numbers, but there's like 10 listings. I mean, there's like not that many listings, especially under 500.
10 listings in Boise?
There's more than that, but there's a lot less than there generally is under $500,000. So
it's the average, what's the average?
The starter home now is like $480,000.
Dude, and okay,
so what happened last year was that last year COVID kind of ended last summer. And so this is my thought, is that everybody who couldn't sell or didn't want to sell during COVID because they didn't know where they were going to go or what they were going to do, or they're, you know, whatever, you know, people are just like, I don't want to go, you know, the last thing you want to do is fucking move in a pandemic and everything shut down.
Right. So, all the uncertainty.
But people were selling houses through that time. I mean, there was still a lot of houses sold, by far less, but they were selling for fucking prices that were just astronomical, just out of this world. So literally last summer, when the pandemic started like kind of relaxing, everybody who had watched their neighbors and shit sell their houses for like $1 million were just like, I'm gonna fucking list my house for $1 million because pandemic's like cleared up. I can get all my money. I'm out.
Oh.
And all of a sudden, like, we got like triple the listings in literally a week.
So supply went way up,
and prices were fucking sky high on everything because everyone thought, oh, I'm gonna cash in, just like, right. And they were all thinking, well, he got it. Well, the reason he got it because he was one of 3 houses for sale in all
supply
of North
was
Boise.
Way down.
Yeah, and the whole Northwest Boise. There's like 5 houses for sale, and all of a sudden there's 20.
Right.
So anyways,
goes up.
The market crashed a little bit.
What does that mean, though, the market crash?
Well, what it did is it just came down, and it found the number was still very good. Whatever the home was worth, actually, that the market would bear.
Right.
But it was just so inflated because of the inventory, the lacking thereof, up until all of a sudden all this inventory hit. So it looked like, to a lot of sellers, and as being an agent and having to talk to, I had like 5 or 6 listings like right at that time, which I generally don't have that many ever. But I got all these listings right at that time, and we priced for the world because that's what had been happening.
Right.
And fucking, I had to go in and we had to drop prices. Like one of them we dropped like $70,000.
No way. To what price?
From $1 million to like, no, from it was $70,000, so like $970 to $899. I think that's what it was.
In what area?
That was in Eagle.
In Eagle.
Yep. And then,
main cross streets.
And then 55 and Floating Feather.
Oh, no
not
way.
Floating Feather.
That's where I want to be.
Oh, yeah, that is it. That right by the bike park.
Right by the Chevron, the bike park.
And then I had another one up on the what's it called up there? The Mesa by Table Rock. Kind of
yeah. Oh, yeah. Beautiful.
All those old homes.
Yes.
Up there.
80s, mid-century type stuff.
Yeah, we dropped that one like $50,000.
No way. It sold, but you had to drop it.
Yeah, and honestly, and the hard part, I was just trying to, and again, the sellers were pissed because, you know.
They expected.
Well, they got caught, man. They got caught like that because there was no indication that anything was slowing down. And this was in like mid-June, which is like total selling season. This is just heyday time, right? So like no one's like, it was just this weird little trend in the market. Like we just went from having no inventory like we do now to having a ton. And some people saved fucking $60,000. I mean,
oh yeah, in 1 month.
Yeah, $50,000, $40,000, $30,000, and then during that time period, which was like from mid-June through like say November of this year, or of last year, I guess it would be. Prices were coming down. There was plenty of inventory. You could get a home inspection. You could get an appraisal. You could write your closing costs into the deal, like it should be.
So transferring from a hot seller's market into either neutral or maybe a buyer's, because you're saying a lot of people in that hot seller's market waiving inspection, just like cash, just Going to the freaking club.
Up until that point, it wasn't uncommon on any decent listing to get at least 5 offers in the first
5
day or
offers and potentially waiving of.
Oh, and all of them are they're waiving their appraisal.
It was a bidding war.
It was just like, hey, here I have more cash. Please, would you please take my offer? Can I pay you as much as I possibly can? I'll do it.
So that's what I'm curious about. Also, is now on the other side of that. So you were talking about the fluctuation in the supply. What's the demand been like, especially for people? Let me caveat it. Is like you had a lot of people that have moved from.
Recording?
Do this all.
No, but are you?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, I want to talk to the mic.
You've had a lot of people move in from California in the last 5 years. And another thing a lot of people don't take into consideration, I think, is how many people bought an RV. Because the RV parks were packed to the gill.
They've been packed for years.
And so people have gotten used to that lifestyle. And even potentially be like, I like this.
What, the RV?
Yeah. Maybe I'm not like it, but just downsizing, simplifying, minimalistic. So now, like,
even that shit's so expensive now, dude. I mean, the RV thing is good, but there's no place to stay in Boise or Meridian or Eagle. There's like 2 campgrounds in the whole fucking city.
So what's demand been like in the market
for houses?
Yeah,
it's fucking incredible. It's
also, how's there any inventory?
There isn't any. That's what I'm saying. Right now, we're like exactly where we were last year. It's exactly the same.
That's weird because even driving around this week, I feel like I've seen more for sale signs than ever before.
They're probably for just ridiculous prices, and they're probably going to sell really quick.
Oh, okay. So yeah, they're still just in time on the market is the same.
Their time in the market. What do you mean?
From listing to offer. That time frame, I don't know what you guys call it, but something. That's either since you're talking about June 2021 until now, that time frame.
It's the same. It's the same.
What's the average time on the market? You think? Shoot from
I don't know if it's 10 days.
10
or
days
less
to sell a house for $500,000.
Oh yeah.
Dang.
And probably less. Probably 7. Dude, like that video, that guy, hold that shit. I think that what he's talking about, we just saw a little mini thing of that happen. I did with the only thing that changed. Interest rates were still super low. Money was still super cheap. This, was just a quick influx of inventory. So if prices drop here for whatever reason, or interest rates come up and it causes the market to kind of fucking stack up for a little bit, I mean, I think the market's going to be good for a little while. I don't know if it'll like crash, but prices will come down.
Oh yeah,
they'll come down, or they'll stay. Hopefully, they'll just stay where they're at, or come down a little bit. But in Boise and Meridian, for the most part now, Eagle, Garden City, the only thing that's going to really accommodate new people moving in is the number of people moving out, because there's no more new construction per se going on in any of those in those cities. All the new construction now is west of Meridian and Nampa and Caldwell.
No way.
Yeah, they're just not building South Meridian, they're building a bunch of houses out there. They're building a decent amount, but not the numbers. And that's now you're getting 10 miles out of Boise. A lot of people, it's 30 minutes.
Oh yeah, because it's a long drive because the speed limits are so fucking
low
here too.
That you're coming in on the secondary roads, and there's no services out there. So if you want to go get a gallon of milk, you got to drive freaking
to the
15
Walmart.
minutes to the gas station up on Overland and
right.
10 Mile or something. Or
the infrastructure hasn't expanded that far. Damn, dude, it's weird.
So stack our crypto, stack our cash. We could see a big real estate correction, man. Hopefully it's just a big correction. And
what kind of correction would you be shooting for?
I mean,
50%. I would love that. That's why I like that guy.
50% would not be healthy. That would not be good. That means something really bad happened in the economy. But like 30% would be absolutely reasonable.
30%.
Yeah, I mean that's
all right. That's why I like that guy so much, because he would know data like that. What's been the average correction from a real estate high, like in certain markets, or he would know how to gather that data.
Well, just all the stuff he's talking about how the income rates and the house, like the inflation rate and the house prices.
Yeah.
Like when you looked at 2008, that was the deepest negative V on the whole chart. That was
Right.
fucking huge. And so I hope it's not like that again, because that,
I think it'll be way worse.
I don't know.
Dude, this shit, when it comes down, like, I'm afraid of everything.
Well, crypto's could be the same way too.
100%. That's why you just have to hold. Even through that, you have to know to hold.
I think I'm gonna try to pull all my shit out. If
Into
that,
what?
Into UST and park that shit in fucking Anchor at 20%.
I don't know if it'll be paying
I don't
percentages
know if
at
I'll
that
do it
point.
with XRP.
What if, like, the internet even went down for a period of time?
If that happened, then
That's what I'm saying. Just hold on to the private keys of your
well,
wallets.
yeah, you would
I don't
hopefully
know
have
if the-
everything in a fucking, what is it, a Nexus or whatever. You'd have to have everything in a private wallet of some sort. I mean, the internet went down. Hopefully, those sites would come back online.
You used to be strong proponent of a potential like that.
What?
The internet going down, or
Right, but if that happens,
I mean, I'm just saying, like, that could be the worst possible scenario.
but if that happens, it's not going to matter what you have, because you're not going to get any of your cash out of your bank.
Oh,
You're
yeah.
not going to get any.
You better have food,
There's
water,
all the
guns.
fucking stores that they don't have operate on cash. Everything's electronic. All their
Right.
cash
Everything's-
registers or scanners and shit. I mean, if you just brought a basket of groceries up there and you were like, I want to pay for this, and they didn't have anything to scan, they'd be like, I don't even know. I mean, there's not even prices on it.
No, it'd be barter. But no, there's another secondary level to that. If that crashes, no one goes to work. There's no employees that work there.
Yeah, I mean, why would you go if you can't spend money?
Yeah, if there's
Or
no
earn
pay,
money.
then yeah. That's
But-
what I see happening. A potential is when, not if, but when the fiat system of the world crashes, like, there's going to be an intermediary time, because the governments of the world today are so far behind that they're not going to have CBDCs ready, or you know what will happen? They'll get hacked. Like,
Bad news.
because they're so far behind. Like, Vitalik Buterin, the founder of Ethereum, he brags about central banks always trying to get in touch with him to help them. Remember, they own the propaganda machine, so they can make you think whatever they want you to think about the organization.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, look what we're seeing with XRP,
Right.
Ethereum, and Bitcoin. Like, it's clear now that there was obviously some proponents that were pulling for Bitcoin and Ethereum.
There was a lot of laws, clearly defined laws that were broken by government officials.
Right.
Fucking, who's that scumbag that even issued the lawsuit before?
Jay Clayton.
Yeah, that motherfucker. That fucking Mr. Burns looking motherfucker, Gary Gensler. Dude, that motherfucker, he doesn't fuck. Dude, he's probably never fucked. His life fucking sucks.
I'm sure he has, dude. He's got so much money.
Dude, he's fucking kids.
He's got so much money. No.
He's the type of guy that fucks a kid. Look at him. But that's what I'm saying. That's all these government. Look at Biden, dude. He's
They're probably
freaking
they're all
touching
in that
kids
shit,
up in
man.
the line. How
They're-
could you not see that? Like,
they're all in that cult, dude. Sam Tripoli just had a super good podcast about
that's what I
that
mean.
deal,
That
dude.
cult is going away.
Crazy shit. Well, here's what I think that we could possibly see. Like, we've been talking about different nations or different areas popping up,
Jurisdictions.
right, that maybe operate differently. I think that there's a really good chance that if the fiat dollar crashes and the central government does some kind of crazy dystopian power grab or something, let's say it's that bad. Let's say the internet's down, no one can get to their fucking money, there's not food and shit.
Right.
I think certain states are going to do their own thing. I think they're going to do things with crypto. I think through shit like Starlink, satellite internet, through Elon and those type of systems, that there's going to be states that are going to say, hey, you know what? We're not going to we don't adhere to you anymore, central government. We'll stay connected to you, but we're going to do our own fucking thing. And we're going to run our money and our politics and our systems the best way we know how. And people will come to that. So I think it could be right here in the United States. I think certain states...
It will break up.
Well, I think there'll be... I don't know if it'll break apart, but I think there will be states that say, we're gonna do crypto, or we're gonna do whatever we want. And
it's already happening.
Yeah, I mean,
I think it's New Hampshire's trying to secede, or they have been trying to.
That idea was off one of those videos you sent me too, because they use the example of marijuana. It's like it's federally illegal, but there's like 27 states that have it decriminalized, and they're doing whatever they want. So like if the federal government were to criminalize Bitcoin or crypto, or try to enact some kind of ban, I could see the states saying, hey, you know what?
Fucking dude.
Texas, Florida.
Yeah, and be like, fuck
Idaho,
you. This is way better for
Utah,
us. Yeah.
Wyoming.
Oh. So again, it goes back to sovereign individual. Like it is eating itself, like its own manipulation. And again, like I can't I can't speak low enough for these motherfuckers. I have compassion and empathy for them, but like the people that are running the show, they're the scum of the earth.
It doesn't sound like you have compassion or empathy for them.
I just say like in a jokingly way to really get in the minds of people. Like these are not leaders. They're not good people. Like why would you... As soon as you stop playing the game stops. But they've tricked you into they've tricked you into depending on them, and like worship. It's worshiping them, rather than if you just say like, oh, it's just a game. But what I'm getting at is like they just have to die off. Like
die off, or they could. Oh, go ahead.
These technologies will get so powerful that it will be so obvious to everyone playing in that arena to just transfer over.
Right. And that's what I was going to say, is that it may come to a scenario where they have a certain land or a certain area that I think people will move. I think people will migrate to places that are more like what they want to be. And I think that'll happen if the services can't be provided by that. But if a state government's able to provide services of some sort, whatever. I mean, if we're talking about no internet, no power, or something along those lines, I mean, a place that has law and order and, has resources.
If I could move to a Caribbean or a tropical place that I felt was as safe and gave me as many amenities as now, I would even pay my baby mama.
There's places like that now, but I'm saying like inside the United States, and I would want to be in a place like Idaho and maybe even a little further north, because the Bahamas and the Caribbeans and all those warm places, there's going to be millions of people there.
You think that they'll migrate to that?
Well, if those places are available, yeah, which might not be a bad thing, but in that scenario, you have to also consider, like, if we're talking about that, say if a bunch of people went to the Dominican Republic, right? Like, who's gonna fucking stop anybody from taking them over, or coming in and invading their, I mean, like, they don't have an army, they don't have shit. So if you go to some island place and they're like, hey, we have our own sovereignty, and they're like, not anymore.
Right.
We're China and we just took over your whole fucking island.
Point. Dang. When the powers are shifting, everything's very unstable.
Well, we see, with Russia right now. I mean,
right.
It's not a far stretch for a nation just to say we're just gonna fucking take you, and there's nothing no one's gonna do anything about it.
You don't think that's a play?
I think it's a sign of desperation, the desperation play.
But a couple things before we get into that, I just shared this guy with you. That's why I was on my phone. Nomad Capitalist talks about all of that. So he expatriated years ago. His motto is go where you're treated best. And so he has properties in Colombia, I think Estonia, or at least some Eastern European countries. So he has multiple passports, multiple citizenships, like you're talking about.
Yeah.
And he's just like, hey, like America, we've been indoctrinated. I mean, dude, my son every day, I pledge allegiance to the flag. People don't understand even those words. A pledge of allegiance, that's a fucking blood oath. You're taking a blood oath every day. You're crossing your heart, pledging your allegiance to, dude, like that's some wild shit. But at the end of the day, we're indoctrinated to it and thinking, what if it's not the best?
Yeah.
There are some things that are the best, but man, education, it's not the best.
It used to be the best, but
right.
It's not now, and it's going to change.
Yeah, in the 1950s, it might have been the best.
Yeah, it could. Yeah, 50s, 60s, into the 70s was probably the best, and then all of a sudden we got cheap money.
Right. Things sure did change.
Everybody's quality of living came up, and people didn't want to work the jobs that it takes to work to and have cheap shit.
Right.
If you fucking import all your shit, it costs a lot more money. That's why a gallon of milk in Hawaii costs way more than anywhere else, because they got to ship it over there.
Right. Have you studied much Ray Dalio?
No.
Dude, I'm going to share some stuff because he talks about, because what I really like about you is the logical side of you and the research side. And like me and you were both into like cycles and shit like that. So Ray Dalio talks exactly about these cycles of power. Mm-hmm. And so right now, like America's on the decline. Yeah. You can't help it. Like it's just like the sun and the moon.
You sent me one of his videos.
I think I did too recently. His newest
is he
one.
He's got an accent, doesn't he? Does he have an accent?
I
a
think
British
he came
or Australian?
No, it's actually
South
East
African?
Coast.
It is East Coast.
Yes, his office, Bridgewater, is in Connecticut.
Yeah.
So he has a New Hampshire, New England accent. Great guy though. His book Principles, fucking killer.
Greg Braden on Gaia, his show Missing Links.
Yeah.
His whole first few episodes in the first season are all about the cycles of war.
Oh, yeah.
And economic decline, incline, all the same similar stuff, all the similar cycles and theories, and that he had them broke down into, I think, 5,000 year cycles. And he has all the science and all kinds of amazing shit to back it up. But yeah,
he goes way far back, doesn't he? In those first like few episodes, pre-Egyptian,
yeah,
doesn't he?
I think so.
To Göbekli Tepe.
Well, that's where everybody's back to now.
And they don't know what's beyond that.
Well, they don't. And there's way more underneath it. There's like 35 acres of rings
that hasn't been uncovered.
No, they've uncovered like 1/10 of it.
Because I mean, and how much have you discovered about the yugas?
I haven't heard of them.
So that's from Vedic.
Oh.
And so it talks about like millions of years cycles.
Yeah. Well, it would make sense, man. I mean, it could totally make sense. And I mean, Ian Lungold broke it down into smaller cycles, and then some of these stuff that we're watching break it down, like the guy with the 60 years. I mean, within 60 years, there's obvious cycles of inflation and recession, and recession. So like, you could probably break it down into the life cycle of a bug.
But also, what if all these things we're experiencing on this realm, of the Earth realm, are part of the Earth consciousness? So let me lead you into this. Like, do you think there's more advanced, how would you put it, iterations of human? That they were at one time at our level, but now because of evolution, consciousness, like they're at another level where now they're not even on the Earth realm.
I don't think so.
You don't?
No, I think that human beings, once we reach a certain level, whether we reach it or we don't, either through cataclysm or through complete enlightenment, and that's cyclic dependent and decision dependent on the people of that time, I think once they reach a certain point, they transcend. I think whether it be they're not human anymore, their spirit leaves and their soul leaves and goes and does other things.
Yeah, that's what I mean too.
Right, but the actual human,
the animal body,
and then that cycle starts again, and it goes back to the beginning, and another set of souls and spirits. It's like a concert. They're waiting to get in, go in, and they're in there for the next cycle, and they go through whatever it is, 1,000,000 years, 5,000 years. I guess you get in wherever you want. Do you want to be an amoeba? Do you want to be, a Spanish king? Whatever.
There's only a bandwidth on the Earth plane.
A bandwidth
of incarnations.
Right.
So like America, or shouldn't say America, Earth, or I should even like the third dimension, the material space that we call home. Its existence manifests in this plane only in a certain bandwidth. So from like a single celled organism until what we are.
Right.
And then beyond that, which is what we're getting to, where we can upload our consciousness or teleport our consciousness, where we can leave the physical body behind and we can really tap into what we truly are, then that's a whole nother bandwidth of understanding.
Sure.
So then once we reach that, like now we're playing in that realm. This realm still exists, but even for the ones that exists even below that? What if there's levels below like single-celled organisms that like we are fucking totally ignorant of? Because like what he talks about in the Kali Yugas is that it's all infinite. So there's never like a disconnection from one dimension to another or from one time frame to another. It's just always regurgitating, always.
Right. And so those people who like the Dali, or who did you refer to?
The Kali Yugas, but it's like the Mayan calendar.
Right.
Those are just but the Vedic, that's ancient Indian.
So
and
those
like
people probably reached an enlightenment level to where there was a cataclysm, which we can see through Göbekli Tepe and through, like 12,000 years ago, that there was some massive destruction, and 12,000 years is a long time. So if you think about the cycle restarting, those people may have transcended, gone, whatever. Basically, the earth was destroyed 12,000 years ago.
Or just
whether
like
it was
the
a
turning
flood,
of soil in a it's just soil.
And so all of a sudden, and it's just like an escape room. I mean,
yes, you got to figure out how to get up.
Set
yes,
of people come in,
that's the stimulation that keeps us moving forward. Yes,
shit, you know?
Fuck you, fucking. Oh, yes.
And so
that's this, like, because tell me if you've ever felt this or not. I think it's inherent in all humans that we're like striving for immortality. Or there's always something pushing us and our culture and dude, no one uses an iPhone 1 anymore.
Yeah, right.
Everything is in a constant state of growth.
Yeah, no one even really uses, like, I mean, just think about internet. I mean,
black and white TV.
Yeah.
Have you seen a clicker TV?
Never. Again, I haven't seen one in years. But I mean, even just like dial-up internet to even having you had to have your computer, just Wi-Fi.
Even people Wi-Fi. Who have never had the internet before in parts of the world will never have to experience dial-up. Think about that.
Right.
They're already in such a rate.
They're probably just get on their cell phone.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But the Yugas, I'm going to share that because I would love for you to get hooked by the Yugas, because that's exactly what he talks about.
Hold on here real quick. I'm getting a message from the homestead. Right.
So right now with where we are, and even like in the last couple thousand years, we're very focused on the material world.
Right.
And what he talks about is as these yugas shift, just like the seasons as we are, and you can see, is we are evolving more into our mind power and our spiritual power. Then he talks about like in another 1,000 years from now, our mental and spiritual powers will be so great that we will have evolved out of these bodies. But that's just where our individual consciousness gets to. There will always be people who are playing the game again at the lowest level, because at the highest level, what happens is then you start getting like lazy and shit. It happens over like these, and then you forget.
So yeah, so I've listened to 2 Arthur C. Clarke books. Recently,
I just started listening to, dude.
Did you listen to which one? 2001: A Space Odyssey.
Yeah, dude, that's what I'm talking about. Yes. Is that we fall so much into ignorance, we go so back into the fucking animal body.
Yeah. And
just replay the play over again.
So I listened to that one, and I'm listening to Childhood's End right now, which is another.
Never even heard of it.
It's there was a song written about it that you would know of. You've heard it. It's like an old 60s or 70s songs or 70s song, but it's the same thing. It's a crazy concept that this guy wrote back in the 60s and 70s, you know, about just that whole cyclic deal. And Childhood's End is basically where these spaceships show up over the earth, and they communicate through technology with humans. And by their presence, they eliminate basically war and famine, and they share technology, and they make basically Earth a utopia where people don't work anymore, and they can travel all over the world. Everybody's, you know, taking up band and painting and doing, you know, just having parties and
it's
having
a renaissance.
Fun. Yeah, exactly, like a renaissance. And their children, the children of that generation, when they're born, they're, you know, up until about the age, and so the aliens say, hey, you know, they show up, and it takes 100 years before they even tell them the plan.
Right, because you have to cycle through the generations.
Right. So they
Fuck.
so they eliminate all the problems on Earth for the most part.
Right.
And it takes 100 years to do that, and by that generation of the 100th year, they the children that are born when they hit about 7 or 8 years old, they start just going full like parabolic, like alien, like full, like they don't communicate with their parents anymore. They don't interact with the world. They're totally transcended there. And so I haven't finished it yet, but I know what happens because I've heard the song. Basically the overlords, or what the aliens are called in this book, take all the children to, and they're just servants themselves. The aliens are like, they don't even know what the plan is. They can't reproduce.
They have another plan that they're adhered to.
Function. Yeah, and so they're literally had to come here and do this. And they talk about in the beginning about how they came once before and it didn't work out between man and them. There was problems and they had to leave. And then they came, and then they're back this time to complete the plan. And so I don't know what happens to all the people left behind, but it's indicating that they basically just de-evolve in consciousness to where they just basically like die off.
The grief.
Yeah, they just die off, and then that's it. And so anyways, yeah, it's some crazy stuff. And 2001: A Space Odyssey, you'll like that one because
I'm loving it.
Yeah, it does the 8. Are you still in the 8 mode? Yeah, which is pretty
hearing
wild.
The stories and like because I've experienced these things is like when you have this, like, I don't know, it's like getting an email. Fuck, dude. It's like getting an email from a higher source. Like when having these ideas, like just to have the idea to pick up the stick.
Right.
Like, you weren't doing it before.
Right, but it was right there.
The whole time.
It's not anything really crazy once you figure it out.
Right.
Yeah.
And then everybody around you's like, oh.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Well, but, we do that now. I mean,
but I think that we're in a time where it's any day, man. Dude, I've been saying it for fucking years, but it's any day.
Have you seen any of the information about the monoliths that just showed up in the Utah desert?
Of course. Dude? What do you think about that?
I mean, it's fucking crazy, dude.
You don't think it's like a weird artist, or you think it's...
Fuck no. Do you know where that place was out there? It was in the middle of... And then it just... Like, these national park guys, these fish and game dudes and BLM, like, that's all they do.
They're nerds. They're jerking off over a topographical map.
They know the whole area, man. And this thing just shows up. It makes the news. And then literally the only news that you could really find without, I guess, I mean, going... Just if you were to Google it, some people, a group of... conservationists is what they call them. A group of conservationists came out and took the monolith down, and that's it.
Oh, really?
So not only did they go on,
did they really?
Well, they had pictures of them taking it down, or it wasn't there anymore. But I don't know if they did it or not. But think about this: some group went onto public land, which is fucking and changed the land. Like if you go in and camp out and cut a tree down
a fucking redwood,
yeah, you're fucking in big trouble, dude. Like you just don't go on a public land or BLM land or fish and game land and just start removing artifacts or God knows what.
Yeah,
and this thing just disappears. And then I saw another show where they said that after that one happened, like over the course of like 18 months, there was like 400 fucking monoliths.
400?
A lot all over the world. A bunch of maybe it was 30. But it was,
oh my god!
But it was a lot. I'm drinking this last one.
Of course, but dude, this is never gonna be a professional podcast.
But I mean, it was a lot. It's a lot. It's more than that.
It's more than one.
It's more than one. So,
but what are they made of? What I would wonder is, man, because they've been removed, we can't take a road trip to it.
No, but I don't think you even need to. I think that shit's just like, man, that could be something like right out of 2001.
Well, that's what I'm waiting for. When a fucking mothership comes down, and that's like, it's like everything shifts in that moment. And I don't know what it is. It's a mothership. It's time travel. Something that is so beyond the current paradigm that when it happens, it's like whoa. Everything drops. Like everybody stops in their tracks. Everybody around the world. Because right now you got some monkeys that think they're more special than others, and that creates a lot of chaos in the world. If something comes out of left field, that puts everyone in their tracks. It's like, oh man, there's more to this game than this whole facade, this monopoly that we've been playing.
Yeah, no, totally, man. I mean,
dude.
Yeah, and it could be. I mean, we've already seen the. There's all that footage from the Navy pilots. Have you seen that shit where they're tracking fucking UFOs all over the place, dude?
How convincing? Because reason why I don't look is because everything I've seen is it's the shittiest. No, evidence.
This is F-18 footage. F-18 pilots engaged with what they call Tic Tacs, and these fucking UFOs are just doing.
And you can
non-physical
clearly
things.
see the thing moving.
Yeah, and they're talking back and forth. The pilots are like, "Holy shit, man! Look at this thing! It just pulled fucking, it just did 9 Gs. Like, holy shit! It's it's 180-mile headwind, and this thing's gone vertical and it's still moving horizontal. Like, literally, this fucking craft is going like this, and this F-18 is going like this, like trying to keep up with it,
dude.
And it just goes like this, whomp, and turns on its side." And fucking keeps
impossible
going.
Maneuvers.
And just takes off.
Yeah.
They have pictures of them going into the ocean.
And they're not photoshopped?
No, it's the Department of the Defense released them.
Oh, so they're saying this is stuff we've seen.
Yeah, and they said
they're not going to lie.
They said now we actually commissioned, a committee. And we're encouraging pilots. We're changing our stance because we used to just fucking kick you out of the Navy for that shit because they were covering it up then. And now we actually want you guys to come forward and tell us about it. So something shifted. Because something shifted. I think that we've been trying to reverse engineer their technology. And I think that they're like, you guys are fucking with shit you don't know about. And we're going to come and like you're breaking treaties. You're doing shit you shouldn't do. And so now we're like, hey, we want all the intel. We want everyone to know about these people. Because if they show up and start saying something different than what we're saying, we want people to work with us. So I think that, there's a project called Project.
Interesting.
It's not Bluebeam or it's Bluebird or something, but there's a project that the government studied where the objective of the project was to create like holographic alien ships or Jesus or God or something where literally
I think it's Bluebeam.
It might be Bluebeam, but so just like
this is a government op.
Well, it was like a think tank for like the CIA, so it was like a CIA commissioned
to how can we create hallucinations?
Well, holographic.
Yeah.
Things because and even in the Childhood's End with Arthur C. Clarke, once the 100 years is up and the aliens reveal themselves, it turns out they had a ship over every major capital, like in the world, like
wow,
like the show with Will Smith or what. Anyways, doesn't matter.
Independence Day.
Yeah, that's it. But it turns out there's only one ship, and in Arthur C. Clarke's book. Those were all holographic, but they picked up on radar. They took up space and mass, so it was just technology that these beings had. So, but the thing is, it convinced the whole world,
right?
To do that. So, I mean, Ronald Reagan even said that. Have you ever heard Ronald Reagan's speech about aliens?
No.
It's a super famous portion of a speech where he says, "Wouldn't it be interesting if a life form or a race came and from outer space and threatened us or made us realize how all of our individual problems are so small that we would unite under some type of a threat like
Maybe
that."
I have heard that.
You've probably heard that part of it.
Where it would take. That's what it would take to unite us.
Yeah, but I mean, it's kind of crazy that he's talking about about UFOs. Aliens. Man. So I don't know, man. I think that I think it could be tricky. I think if we see them or something like that, I think it could be holographic. I think it could be controlled.
So you think even if a mothership did come, it would potentially be a hologram?
It would be.
Of course, they would potentially use that because they would have that tool at their disposal.
Well, yeah. Think about how badass that would be. If you were like, people are getting unruly, and you can't keep control of them, and you're just like. Here comes this big spaceship and it's fucking flashing lights to everybody and whatnot. And they just make up the narrative too. They're just like, we were talking to them and they said, if you guys fucking stop acting up, everything's going to be fine.
So are you saying that, okay, right down here, you got the average person. Above that, you've got the rulers, the Bidens, the Putins. You're saying above that, the mothership comes down to try, like, even these guys aren't doing a good enough.
No, I'm saying
there's another one above them.
No, I'm saying those guys created the mothership. I'm saying
With the technology of today.
And however, though, the real problem or the real question would be if there really are other beings that are here monitoring us or watching us or helping us or whatever, and they show up too, and they're like, hey, this is bullshit, we're real. It would be pretty wild. That would be some wild shit.
I mean, I'm waiting for something like that.
It would be earth shattering. It would be groundbreaking. And if you think about that, that's very biblical in a sense, because
what do you mean? Yeah,
because there's like in the Bible and Christianity, there's a lot of talk about there'll be a lot of false idols. And you'll be deceived, and you're gonna have to make a decision. You're gonna have to fucking assess the situation on your own, and decide what you're gonna do, because those things will have consequences. But it does say when the true Lord returns, you will know. So it's a dichotomy of a question, whether it's a religious sense or some geopolitical.
You have to wait for that knowing.
Yeah, and that would be a pretty big. That would be a big power shift. It'd be a power grab on. I mean, it'd be super divisive, but one side would probably win if there were really aliens that came back and had our best interests at heart, and the powers that be here, tried to foil that through.
You think that they could?
Well, I think that they have.
I think if a mothership comes,
I think they have alien technology. They've had it for decades.
Right now?
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
what?
Spaceships and all kinds of shit, man. Aliens, perhaps. They might
Why haven't they let them out of the cage?
Well, because we're reverse engineering their technology,
and it's taken 50 years to do that.
Yeah, some of the. So have you seen the show? There's a show on Guy you need to watch. And I'm not going to say that he's a super famous fucking dude. I'm not going to remember his name.
The guy from Joe Rogan.
No. He was a astrophysicist, super smart, total MIT dude, and he worked for Area 51 prior to Area 51 really even like in the 70s.
Yeah, Bob Lazar.
Lazar.
Yeah, he was on Joe Rogan. I've watched his documentary.
Well, yeah, he has a show. There's a really awesome show on Gaia. So I mean, he says that we've already got it. We've had it for decades, and we're reverse engineering it. And
still,
dude, if you gave a guy from the fucking Middle Ages a cell phone and just said, first off, you have to charge it. Figure out a way. Like if you just showed him what it could do, and then you turned it off and drained the battery and said, "Here's a charger and a phone."
Dang.
Figure it out. Like I mean, it could take thousands of years.
Yeah,
dude.
it has actually.
I mean, if those guys are bending space, time, and
there's materials that they don't even know what they are, how to get them,
and
fucking crystals and shit
crystals
like that.
And
like,
shit.
What the fuck is this?
Bob Lazar indicates that the drive systems,
element blank that he talks about. Like, where the fuck are we getting that?
It's like 1.7 gigawatts.
Yeah,
for old Doc Brown, dude.
All right.
For old Doc Brown
and then maybe like there's a constant drive to try to find these materials.
And I think there's going to be a conflict between the aliens and humans, because I don't think the aliens' intent is hostile, or the ones that haven't destroyed us.
For they know not what they do.
Yeah, and so there's going to be a point where we're going to develop technologically. If we decide to use it in a menacing way, the aliens are going to come back and say, "Hey," and then at that time,
crack the whip.
We could be like, shoot our spaceships up into the sky, either real or holographic, and be like, "No, don't listen to," and then shoot them with some nukes. Or here's another thing: have the spaceships
What about lasers?
How about this? The holographic ships that they put up, those fucking ships shoot nukes or lasers.
A hologram does?
What? I mean, they could have a B-52 fly through there and drop a fucking nuclear bomb. My point is that it would look like the aliens are attacking us. Therefore, it wouldn't matter who came back.
Everybody would be on defense.
Yeah, dude, everyone's gonna be fighting the aliens, man.
Man, I don't know. I don't even know.
Could be some wild shit. So
I mean, it's wild right now.
It is, but I think that we have to go through something similar like that, and the people prior to us have, and that will pass, and it'll reach, to a point where I don't know if the cataclysms are controlled or if it's just random fucking luck. Like
you mean like a volcano,
asteroid, a flood, whatever ends that cycle.
God. Because if it's like all a computer program, if the whole universe is just the most advanced computer program, then that means no. Good. Is everything has to be perfectly placed. So even like, did you ever play that game Oregon Trail?
All the time.
The whole game was pre-programmed.
Right.
So this game has to be pre-programmed. So
but
the asteroid that comes in is just it's just a stimulus to the game.
Perhaps.
How could it not be?
Well, because the video game we're talking about and the actual universe, I think there's some differences between that. Like, they may be.
What if this was just Oregon Trail 2022?
Well, I mean, a comet strike, or I guess that would have to be pretty well timed.
Well,
there would be some, even from what we can understand in a galactic sense, who would make the decision to be like, yeah, fucking send an asteroid in now. Like, we're tired of these.
The
fucks.
ultimate program that's not of even a physical nature.
I think that consciousness is free enough or wild enough that it would allow for a variable like that.
And there can be no variables.
I think there's a variable because it would shorten and extend and would change the game so dramatically that people who decided to enter into that game,
they knew what they were getting into.
Right. And so look at,
because even that won't completely erase it.
No, but think about if they just said, hey, you could have 2 million years here. You could have 10,000 years. Like, we don't fucking know when this big asteroid's going to fly through or something's going to happen. But
something has to know that it is.
I don't know. Perhaps.
And that's what I'm like, let's say,
I think
okay, let's put it in this sense. Like, from where you are, from everything you've gathered, all the data that you've taken into your consciousness, do you think that there are people on the planet that are considerably behind you as far as the data that you've taken in?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, so if you continue on that trajectory and they continue on theirs, which is freaking Bud Light and NASCAR, okay? I'm just saying that's a comparison of consciousness. Is at some point, if you might attract an opportunity to leave the planet, and all that other consciousness doesn't. So that's when the asteroid comes. You've left. If something happens, and let's say it costs 1 Bitcoin, but a Bitcoin is fucking worth
galactic.
Yeah.
Galactic.
Yeah,
baby.
exactly.
Galactic.
So let's say 0.01% of the population on the planet even has 1 Bitcoin. Dude, that's the best comparison. So it costs 1 Bitcoin for you to download your consciousness onto this thing that's teleporting or whatever. And everybody else is like, fuck, I ain't got a Bitcoin. But you're like, I got a Bitcoin. I'm not telling anybody. I'm going to take me and my family. We're going to upload our consciousness and we're out of here. So you're out of here. But then comes, boom, lands right in the middle of Russia and wipes the consciousness out. Now, like you said, some people are here already knowing what they were going to get into before they even came. So in that instance, it comes down to when that asteroid hits, you are either going to live or you're going to die.
Right. Yeah.
So it strips everything down to that primal cellular program.
Yeah, no, and I think that to give credence to the immensity of what the universe or our consciousness could be, I think that even right now that there's people by far more advanced than me, there's people by far less advanced than me, and I think everybody's playing the game specifically at their level.
100%.
And whether this cycle goes for 1 million years before the fucking Earth's wiped clean, or it goes another 50 years, whatever happens at that time, those people will they'll go to where they're going to go, or they'll come back.
Always.
Yeah, and it's like a restart on a game. Like, you're just back at the beginning of the level again. And hopefully, through continued consciousness, people achieve that level faster, and there's more room for more beings to come in later. I really think,
or just the perfect amount.
Well, just however many. Yeah, exactly.
Because it's all perfect.
Well, I think people want to be here. I think spirits want to be here.
Yeah.
It's physical. It seems like there's a big non-physical world, which is probably amazing, but it probably lacks a lot of shit like beer and weed and fucking.
Dude,
and,
you just...
and that shit. So these spirits, these souls, our souls, we're like, hey, we want to go down and trash it up a bit, man. We want to check this physical world out where we're so emotional. We're so out of control that we make these fucking crazy decisions that could destroy humanity and destroy ourselves or save humanity, save ourselves. Like, it's quite exciting. It comes all the way back to that quote from Troy, the movie
Troy, one of my favorites.
Brad Pitt, when he's talking to the hot little priestess.
Yes.
And he says,
preach.
He says, let me tell you, because she says, don't you worry about the gods. Don't you fear the gods? And he says, the gods are jealous of us. The gods want to be us because we're immortal, and you'll never be as beautiful as you are now, and we'll never be here again now, and we'll never have these feelings that we have right now.
Right.
And then he bangs the shit out of her, and she loves it. And so, but what he's basically saying is, we are here in this realm.
Yeah.
We're these beings. We're here. Let's fucking.
You're gonna go back to your immortal self to get bored, to come back down to another reality.
Achilles was a warrior of epic proportion. He had achieved whatever vibration he was here, and
the
you could
physical
see it
was so boring.
Yeah, and you could even see it in the movie. I mean, he was just like killing Hector, killing everyone.
Right.
And what did he die for? He died for love. The Achilles, the shot through. He was looking for Briseis when the whole city was being burned down, and his brother killed him. And even in his death, he was totally at peace. He was just like, "Go live. Like, thank you for knowing. I'm so glad I know you." Like, and
the ultimate fucking life.
Yeah. And so that's where he was. How many times he'd come through to get that, who knows?
Right.
If a comet hit right after that,
right,
or whatever, reset, and you go back and you pick up probably in a similar position that you were. Yep. Maybe he was the son of somebody, and whatever happened to him.
Or you just choosing, I'm gonna play this part.
And that too, man. Dude. Yeah, I mean, you could
infinite choices.
Yeah, you could just be like, hey, this time I'm gonna be a politician. Hey, this time I'm gonna be fucking Achilles. This time I'm gonna be Hitler. This time I'm gonna be a rock star.
Right.
I mean. Yeah, it'd be pretty wild.
Man, dude, that's crazy. Holy shit.
So, I think the cycles and all the shit is that I think that, I mean, obviously we're sitting here talking about this is what we've spent probably a large majority of our fucking time thinking about or reading about or looking at. And so it's exciting.
Yeah.
So obviously it's more exciting than, I don't know, other things that used to be really exciting.
Talking about
that used
football,
to be exciting.
Or whatever's going on in the world.
Yeah, what's going on in the world.
Yeah, the zeitgeist, the just the average zeitgeist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
no one's talking about this shit.
Well, they are more
and more.
A lot more.
Yeah, 100%.
A lot more.
Yeah.
And
love it.
Yeah, I think the next big level for us is going to be like a understanding that there's a oneness, that we are all connected. There won't be any more wars. Like, people are just fed up with that shit. I think this fucking Russian-Ukraine thing is just an absolute catalyst of like, this isn't like, we're just beyond this civilly.
Yeah.
It's just such a fucking
We're
barbaric,
still doing this?
Yeah. And I mean, I think that this will have a poor outcome for Russia no matter what happens, whether they win or not. I think they'll ultimately be defeated, and I think it will probably, depending on how far it goes, it'll come from within. It'll be the Russian people who are like, no
we
more
don't
of
want
this. No more of this shit. We're not sending our sons and daughters off to fucking die to do this shit anymore, which would help strengthen, like, hey, and then God forbid, I mean, those people rejoin the world. I mean, those people have been fucking...
They got cut off.
They've been cut off for...
a lot of...
I mean, they've been cut off for hundreds of years. Yeah. Hundreds of years, man. I mean, from clear back in the 1900s with the czars and shit. I mean, Russia's been the largest continent in the world.
That whole ideology.
The communist ideology. Under, right. And even when that fell, Putin rules with
iron fucking fist.
Just a pure dictator. So that consciousness will evolve. I think we're going to see more of that shit. I think China's on the roll.
Is this stimulus that causes the evolution.
It does.
Like those
This
people
has to
need
come to
this to
pass.
happen for them to wake up.
Well, this is a catalyst that's going
Right.
to show again how poor this is. And then the hope would be that no matter what happens, in generations to come, people will say, hey, how can we avoid, like, what are we going to do to
Right.
avoid this even more? Like our
Right.
forefathers in World War I, they made a pact and it worked for a while. And now World War II's pact's held for 60 years and now it's not.
Wow.
So like we got to figure something else out. And it's going to be
Right. Dang, that's powerful.
the
to think
dissolution of, well, the evolution of consciousness. The current system's going to go out. And
it's all consciousness.
Yeah, it's going to go out, and we're going to have a different whole belief system as far as what we think about borders and people and money that we probably can't even really comprehend yet. Because just think about the internet. I mean, when you were on AOL at home looking at the fucking encyclopedia, you know, and that was it. And we couldn't even have thought about cell phones that I'm sending fucking tens of thousands of dollars around on. Like, you couldn't even have thought of that then.
No way.
Yeah, we could have thought
It's
about,
like Carmen Electra nude pics at my grandma's house in 1997, bro.
Right.
Printing them out in total anxiety I was going to get caught.
and that was the culmination of it. When that picture popped out, you were like, one day I'm
Jackpot.
Send hundreds of thousands of dollars around
Oh,
outside of...
never.
Right, so we don't even know what that could look like or what it is, but it's fun to talk about it.
Let me run this scenario by you. Have you heard anything about this? That Ukraine was a hub for the political elite for all of their, I've seen a bunch of huge pharmaceutical companies based out of Ukraine, bunch of, child baby blood, all that shit. And they're saying Russia's actually
the good person here. Like they're coming in. Russia's the actual.
Yes,
yeah.
They're the good guys breaking up the cabal.
I absolutely would not doubt that for a second. I mean, and I think those games they're going to play out. But yeah, I mean, those people are fucking sick. There's obviously, we've heard hints and little tangents, Jeffrey Epstein and just Pizzagate and just shit like that. Like there's fire there. So sure, I'm sure it probably could be. I mean, 9/11, all that shit was the same thing. They blew up a bunch of credit depositories. They fucking shifted wealth. They changed policy. They changed power through 9/11 by destroying certain things and then activating the military industrial complex, which is really the ultimate goal. Currently, the evolution, I believe, of our consciousness is to fucking fight wars. That's it, right now.
You don't think that it is shifting from fighting?
Shifting. It's shifting, but for the last 100 years, 200 years, 500 years?
Yeah, exactly.
It's
500
been
years.
1,000 years? I mean...
We used to meet each other on field tops and bludgeon each other to death.
Well, right, but if you look behind that, all of that was all economically driven. A fucking nation rose up, had power, and then they had to borrow money from another place to defend the lifestyle they had fucking had, or they wanted more, and they had to go to war, and that war generated a ton of commerce, but they were borrowing money to do it, and sometimes I think back in the day it worked out better where they could actually take a land, and just keep it and literally assimilate all that labor, all that natural resources.
Right.
But it's tougher today. We don't just go in and take over. Like we didn't take Iraq and it became the 51st state.
Right.
So it's
great point.
Yeah, it's way more diluted now and messy and fucking and takes forever. And I think people are just tired of it.
It's obsolete.
Yeah,
that's the point.
Well, that's kind of the whole feeling with this Russia-Ukraine thing. I mean, not only just if you want to take a minute and dial down into the conscious of, what those people are fucking going through, that's a whole nother
They're only going through it because they're holding on.
No. I mean, they're getting fucking bombed.
Wouldn't you move? Wouldn't you move your family?
Dude, I think that a lot of people are, but I'm saying that.
But don't you see a lot of the people like, I'm fighting for Ukraine?
Well, just think if you had to leave if you had to leave Idaho
I would leave. In a fucking heartbeat.
Right, but they also are fighting. So
for ideals.
The human tragedy portion of it. But the point above that is that it seems so like the only thing I can cliche what Russia's doing, what at least what we understand what they're doing, like, so 1987, like, it's like 1987, girl, like, they're invading another country, like, come on, like this isn't working out anymore, we can't do this shit.
Yeah, this doesn't work, but it always goes back to everything's unfolding so perfectly.
Right.
So, like, on both sides in that whole area, concentrated area that this conflict is going on, and outside of it, it's all people holding on to their ideals, on their belief of how the world should be.
Absolutely.
And they're holding on so tightly, they're willing to die for it. Some of them are willing to change. Like, oh, I'm willing to change. I'll move away or I'll leave. Some of them are being literally forced to leave, like the refugees. Like, they're forced to leave.
Right.
But by being even forced to leave and live in a different country, you're going to have to learn to survive and change your paradigm.
Right. But I think with their paradigm shift, so the world's paradigm shifts have to shift. So I think for those people on the humanistic level, regardless if they are fighting for ideals that they may or may not know are obsolete or whatever they should do, like, the empathy and the gratitude that we can feel for not one being there.
Oh, tremendous.
And how horrible it must be for them, the people that are in the fucking OB, the maternity hospitals and shit.
I'm not trying to ever discount that.
But I think that is intricate, because we have to have enough empathy. We have to have a stronger feeling for that eventually than what the price of gas is.
But why? That's their karma to learn in this incarnation.
Because that will connect us in a oneness where where the world will combine.
But I can't learn another person's lesson.
No, but what we can learn collectively is, like, this thing that Russia's doing, like, we could stop this. There's no fucking reason in the world that Russia...
It will stop when it needs to
right,
stop.
But what I'm saying, I think we have to manifest it.
Yeah,
we've shown through 3 world wars now that we're not able to fucking stop an all-out war like this. Like, we have to be able to stop this, whether it be through a united show of force or better diplomacy. But, like, until we can, like, it's like if you get super mad and you just start fucking raging, like, until you stop that, like, you're not going to move forward. So, like, as a collective, we have to, like, just in the physical realm of it, like the United States military and the NATO allies, I mean, we could destroy Russia.
But even those are fictions.
Right, but there are fiction that we have right now. It's this part of the matrix that we're currently in, so we have to operate in this deal, like an escape room. You have to figure out this.
Yeah,
this
the total
thing.
escape is just non-participation.
Right.
It's in his great book.
But through
Civil Disobedience.
Right, but through non-participation, we're seeing exactly what's happening right now. Russia is taking over Ukraine.
Through non-participation?
Yeah, because the world that knows that what's right isn't doing anything again. And what they're doing, actually, what I actually think they're really doing is they're fucking ushering in another world war, because it fucking creates diversion and it creates a lot of money. You watch, if Russia does not, when Russia wins this, because so far we haven't done anything to stop them. If they, I mean, they're not going to. They could very easily invade Poland. Why would they stop? And so I just think it's a time collectively as a governing body that we're going to make a decision, and what that decision
governing or like collective, like everybody collective. On the planet.
Yeah, everyone on the planet, like. China has the opportunity to jump in here. Putin solicited them for help. They showed a gesture of unity in the Olympics. Putin
with
and Xi,
Russia.
Yeah,
and they were giving each other a hug in the Olympics.
And now Xi is like, he's backing off. Like, I don't know if I want to join this fucking war because
we're so invested in America.
Well, that too, yeah. So it's a huge. So I think as a collective.
That's what it's huge, so interconnected.
Right, but I think we have to make the decisions. If we do not stop Putin, in some sense, it is going to be a reset for us in the fact that we can't fucking stop a world war. You can't have countries invading other countries and killing people
militarily
for their own benefit, with no provocation.
Right.
Like
there's never there's in 2022 there's no way to justify killing innocent people.
No, and
never.
And the worst thing is I think the evil will be there. It's kind of like the old analogy of like, what's worse, the fact that you have to kill somebody to protect yourself, or that you were put in that position to have to do that? Like, what's the worst decision? Like that somehow you were put in that position to actually have to kill somebody, or the fact that you killed somebody. And so,
but who put you in the position?
Well, the position that we're put in right now is because of all this geopolitical low consciousness shit. Like the fact that we buy all this oil from Russia, and that we have a bunch, and maybe it's to our benefit.
It's like great reset. Now we're getting
exactly.
Like resetting reanalyzing everything.
But I think as a collective consciousness, we're growing, because obviously prior to, our consciousness wasn't as high, and the people who were higher than us, which are the people who are currently in power, if left unabated, they will turn this into something that benefits them, which we've seen in the past is world war.
They're doing it right.
Right.
They've never stopped.
So through the Ukrainians, through the Russians, whatever the truth may be, whether Russia is the victor here because they're breaking up this cabal, or it's naked aggression that has to be fucking muted globally, like we're gonna have to make a decision, because if we don't, and we just leave it to nature, history shows
that is always it always.
Well, I don't think so, because I think human nature left to its own demise is not organized. It's not a higher level of consciousness.
I think that even
as human nature.
I know
human nature. No, we're fucking
individual nature.
In the state that we exist in now, where our entire fucking culture is based on quality of living through monetary value, which is generated through war. That if we leave that unchecked, we will fail the test, and we will continue that fucking evolution until we get it.
Oh, you don't think we're going to get it this time?
I don't know.
What do you think?
I don't know, man.
I think it's 100%.
I think right now it doesn't look good.
I think it's fucking inevitable. Dude, that's why we're even here.
We as in the United States and the European Union, which collectively has all the power in the world to do anything that they want to do, just let the Russians invade Europe. So
I'm talking about black swan shit that nobody can see, that no one has control of, is going to happen. Collapse of the dollar. I mean, things that are in the periphery that they're trying to stave off. I'm talking something's going to happen that no one understands, no one can see, that's going to happen. It's going to in a heartbeat just change everything. The 11:59 hour.
That's going to be the spaceship showing up or something. I don't know. Until then, I think if the dollar collapses, it will just be another push towards those decisions that need to be made by the collective, as far as, hey, are we going to play this portion of the game anymore? Are we going to submit or work with the government to reestablish a currency? Are we going to use crypto? Are we going to do whatever? Like, that will be another question. It'll be another test.
I think the whole government system as we have it today, the nation state system, that's what's going to crumble.
Well, right.
And there will be that period of darkness where everything is going to go offline for a while.
Right. Sure. And so the ultimate...
And at that point, the dinosaurs are going to die off at a speedingly rate.
Right. And I think that is going to continue to play out in all of its intricacies. And if we get hit by a comet prior to that, then we fucking reset and we go back and we start over again. But I think that's just the nature of this game. I think it's a fucking game that we're playing that could end at any moment. And whatever level you're at, whether you get a pick where you go again, whatever that is up there, I'm not sure. But I think our whole goal here individually is to fucking evolve to a point where if we get hit by a comet and we're still here, we're like, hey, we got our merit badge, we're off to the next galaxy.
Yeah, I'm with you 100% on that. And that's what I always try to fall back on, is the faith in knowing that it's all unfolding so perfectly that I can't even understand its perfection. So don't even try.
Don't even try.
Let go. Have a great time. And in fact, my favorite nursery rhyme: row, row, row your boat gently down the stream. Right. Merrily, 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 life is but a dream. Like we're talking about, we just incarnated here because being the infinite beings that we are, can get boring and mundane. So we needed to come back in the blink of an eye. Because here's the thing. This is just a VR. Just like if I go upstairs and put up the VR set on, I put the eyeglasses over and I'm in another reality. Every night when I go to bed, it's like taking the goggles off. And I'm going wherever the fuck my consciousness goes, that's where it goes. Then every morning when my alarm clock goes off, I wake up and I put the headset back on. And I'm playing in a fucking simulation. But
well,
I know, because I've seen through the veil and I've seen, it's like fucking Game Genie, bro.
Right.
Because I fucking tripped down with the shamans, I've hooked into the Game Genie and seen these things that we're talking about today. So it's like, now I understand the game itself. We're evolving from level.
But is that even possible?
Of course it's
possible. That, but on what you just said, to get super fucking psychedelic here, that everything's unfolding perfectly, then you are achieving this or understanding this at a specific time or pre-plan or when you're supposed to.
Yeah.
And so by the fact that you don't know anything about it, just the fact that you're being exposed to that means that there's something more that you can't even comprehend right now.
That's why this reality is actually becoming more and more boring to me. Because I actually know there's something way fucking cooler than this. I've done everything that there is to do on this level.
That's interesting. That's interesting because I feel that same.
It's fucking boring. Dude, I
feel that same.
Eat, drink, sleep, fuck, snort, smoke. It's fucking lame.
Right. Yeah.
But I have these glimpses of aliens and fucking teleportation and fucking all this shit that's like, it wouldn't even be in my realm of existence, even as a fantasy, if it weren't a potentiality. So now it's like, oh, dude, I've driven cars and motorcycles and fucking hot chicks and parties and stuff like that. It's like, dude, like that stuff's so lame to me now. Right. And because I've tripped out with shamans and I'm going to do ketamine this week. And it's like, dude, I've taken my consciousness to these other dimensions, so I know that they're there. I know it. And it's like I see that something, like we're on this precipice of the whole game evolving. And that's what I'm getting at. Like everything's happening exactly because the whole game, the collective itself is evolving to the next level. It's the individuals that are holding onto those ideals so hard that they're willing to fucking kill and die for their ideals. The key is just let go. It's not real. Like you believe these ideals that were fucking programmed into you. They're not real. There's no such thing as government or states. They're imaginary fictions that other people created and they fucking brainwashed you to believe in and to die for. Where it's like, hey, really, this is just a fucking video game. We're all equal. We're all on the level fucking playing field. But motherfuckers that came 100 years ago or 500 years ago, they knew this, so they manipulated the game. But going back to, dude, it's all perfect because we actually need the game the way it is right now to stimulate us to learn what we need to learn to get to that next level.
Right.
But like I feel, and man, I would never try to sound like I'm better than anybody or anything like that. But if you're just a fraction of a step ahead of the masses, you see so much more. So going back to my points, like, man, because of all this work I've done over the fucking 20 years, it's like, dude, this is so boring. Like, I'm waiting for the system to crash. I'm waiting for the fucking mothership. If it's a fucking hologram or not, just give me something.
Right, here's a total different idea that correlates to that. Is through that evolution that you've achieved, right? And these other dimensions that you're aware of. So I feel like what I've been shown recently or been experiencing is that another part of our evolution is to try to share that with people and to develop what is referred to as love, not to be super hippie.
Totally though.
But because in that evolution process, while the knowledge is gained and the awareness that, you have, that I have, that people have, that may be more in what we're talking about, is I think it's a tool that we're just got, like the monkey with the deal. And we know that we can kill with it, but what else can we do with it? Like what else maybe we can use that to skin out a blanket for our babies in that sense, where the babies are freezing to death or something like. So anyways, I think that it's like that level of achievement or awareness is beneficial personally, but I think I've been experiencing or being shown that we have a duty to implement that in a way with whoever it is, the closest people to you, whatever you're called to do, whatever you're exposed to, because that's whole nother aspect that's really fucking hard. Like if it was just me and I'm fucking evolved and I nail this shit, like that in itself is an achievement. However, it's just you. Like you get to make all those decisions, you get to decide the things that you get to do. But if you have other people around you that you have to deal with, that you care about or that you're involved with, like that conflict is can be extreme. So I think that's another level of mastering that, and that's
huge.
Yeah. So
you just changed my life, because it is like, hey, imagine like we are that monkey or that whatever he talks about in 2001.
Mm-hmm.
Once you learn how to use the tool of love,
right?
Then then just like him teaching, or just the others through osmosis, learning about that new tool. It changes everything.
Changed everything for them. They no longer had to worry about water, and the food became plentiful.
Right.
So, but with that, like that could very easily be another portion of the game.
Right. 100%.
Where just like once you get the body armor and bond, now you can play longer. Now you can run around and take more, more
love
hits.
Is like invincibility.
Well, yeah, it could
be,
or it's just another. So I think that I think what we're onto and what we're talking about is exciting and extremely important. But I also believe that we have a mission or a destiny of, once we learn that, to share it with the people that, or at least implement it with the people.
Yes, gosh damn you. Yeah, you're right. 100%. It's your duty. And once you really connect to that duty, it's weird because even my meetings earlier today, like it's left me big in question, like, God, am I doing the right thing? Like, what trajectory am I on? But man, when you just said that, it's because like going back to the Matrix, like I ate the red pill.
Right.
There's no one on this planet that could convince me of what I fucking have seen and experienced. And so now it's like, I'm trying to help with whether it's sharing videos with you or anything I share. It's like, I'm just like, come on, like, fuck, like there's something else here, guys.
Yeah. And even on an individual level, just the evolution of that emotional control or thought process, where individual emotions like frustration, sarcasm, cynicism, these things that we just have all day long, the mastery of that, or the understanding of that, like what does that really mean, I think is another, like a level within the level. Because while all the stuff we've been talking about is super important, like that part of it has to happen for people too, in order for the oneness to kind of connect. I don't know, that's a far stretch there, maybe.
I get it 100%.
Because in order to not have invasions and wars, like you have to have so much empathy. Like you have to be, like I said earlier, you have to be more worried about, what.
But it's all the collective empathy.
It is.
And as that grows stronger, it will overpower that old energy.
It will. I think eventually it will, because it will be just like we see this war in Russia and Ukraine as such a just a blemish. And I don't mean to be, like passing it off, but like a blemish, like just, oh really? Like if if your buddy beat up his girlfriend, You'd be like,
oh
fuck,
my
dude, like,
gosh,
what's wrong with you?
yeah,
Like, I don't even really want to hang out with you anymore, you know?
Watch that over. Oh my
You know,
gosh,
like, you're
yes,
just like-
you wouldn't stand for that.
No, and even
But
if you
in
did,
some cultures, maybe they would.
well, and so,
But the
not even
collective-
cultures,
But the collective,
Well, but-
yeah, you're
but-
no matter what.
but
you're
even
right.
even not too long ago in that scenario in our country, that was like fucking commonplace. You see those places in the
Right.
world where it's totally legitimate to beat the shit out of a woman with a stick.
Right.
Still, so that's a different vibration, different
But
frequency.
you're right. The collective is now, because we're so interconnected with the internet and our phones, you're right. God, that's the best way. Like, I would never, even if I saw
If it
someone
was your
in
best
public-
friends, let's just
I
say
don't
it was
even
your
care if friends, public.
Sure.
I'm the type of, if I see someone hit a woman in public, I'd be like, what the fuck, dude?
Yeah, and the offense that you would feel initially would just be so.
So people are feeling that now more than ever. They're
More
like,
than ever.
oh, what
More
are
than
you
ever.
guys doing?
You're invading a country. Like,
Yeah,
dude, we
how
have-
1989
yeah,
is that?
We got COVID to deal with. We got crypto to deal with. We've got fucking people migrating, to deal with. We've got all this other
so
stuff.
well put. Yeah, we don't stand for that. It goes back to Ian Lungold. Is now like the morals and ethics. Like, we've evolved so advanced in that we're like, dude, we don't kill each other anymore.
But where does that come from? That comes from an individual practice in your personal relationships, in your personal self, that I think other people pick up on, and then in order to feel that way about an action like Ukraine and Russia, there has to be enough people who feel that to just say, hey, we're not going to tolerate this.
Right.
And we're not there yet. We're getting there, though. I think we're getting there. I think
That's right.
it's becoming a lot more evident that
There's still a lot of boomers that are really.
well, there's boomers, and there's just a lot of apathy. There's just a lot of people who are stuck in the
Oh,
systems
yeah,
that they're
apathy.
in.
Right.
And they can't, what are
What's
they going
the
to do about it?
point?
What are they
What's
going to
the
do about it? Like,
use?
what is me loving my wife more or loving my father more going to do?
Oh, I mean, now you're
what's
getting
that?
some deep.
Right, like, what's that
shit.
going to do for
That
anything?
Any level of love and empathy contributes to the whole.
Has to be individual before it could be collective.
Of course, dude.
And through
yeah.
through quantum physics,
Yes, 100%.
we've learned that what Einstein called spooky action at a distance, that quantum entanglement, i.e., two photons of light 14 miles apart in this specific experiment, when one was stimulated, the other one reacted instantaneously.
Right.
So it's clear
Your
that
energy.
that the energy, that this force that we're in, it is effective. It does have effect on different places, but we don't know that yet, and we don't know how to harness that. I think our ancient peoples knew how to. I think we've had the wool pull over our eyes for a while on that aspect of evolution, and it's coming soon. Like, we're going to understand here very soon that we are all interconnected, and that we're a oneness, and that an action in Ukraine, or a thought process, or a government, or a suffering of a people, or a revelation of a people is going to be shared together.
Right.
So that takes individual work, but also as the individual works, it's kind of like super hippie-ish, but like,
No, it's real.
Love conquers all.
Because I think that's the overall individual challenge that's a lot of people are facing. Probably the mass majority of people is what resentments, what shames, what guilts are you harboring inside that now it's time to face them and let them go.
Well, to quote the famous Gary Gilgan, I would say, what is blocking you from letting go? What is blocking you from just saying, hey, I'm going to let go and just have faith or trust in myself and the universe and God, or whatever I'm learning inside of me to say, I can do it myself, or I can do it together, or whatever. Like, what would it take to let go? Whatever that is, that's what we're supposed to freaking figure out.
Yeah, 100%. Because you're still holding on to that emotional weight.
Which, through what we're doing and what a lot of people are doing, through seeking awareness and these different modalities of achieving it, I just lost my train of thought.
We're going through it. We're figuring it out.
Yeah, I don't remember. I don't even remember.
Oh my God.
Total brain fart, bro.
But that, no. individual. We have to learn on an individual level to add to the collective.
We do.
So everybody that has any sort of resentments, guilt, shame, anger. How many people are resentment towards the government? Resentment towards
how about just resentment towards themselves?
Yeah, and
they don't. That's what I was going to say. That's what I was going to say. Is that as we achieve these modalities, or they're open to us, call it ayahuasca, call it prayer, call it meditation, call it whatever you want. As we're showing that, we are reflected in ourselves of new things that we have generally operated with that no longer serve us. So like the resentment that you felt for whatever, the guy in traffic, your family, like all of a sudden you're like, hey, that's a fucking problem. Like I never thought it was a problem before. It worked out really well. We always had Thanksgiving together. I got to where I was going because the guy cut me off. But like the fucking way I reacted to that is actually a problem. It's something that it's keeping me from achieving X.
Yes, of course.
So through that action, so let's say you're riding in the car with your kid and someone cuts you off and you're like, oh, that person must be in a hurry or whatever you say versus like, motherfucker, fuck you. Like you've now changed, or that person has seen something different.
100%.
And the more that you can practice that, the more influence you're going to have around you, which just exponentiates and adds to the collective.
Oh yeah, I mean, especially with our kids. When you have a kid, I think having a kid changed my whole entire life because of that.
Well, and I'm just starting to think now. I mean, William's just getting to the point where like I'm kind of like, like the other day he was standing out there with pine cones and he was just looking at them and shit, and he was kind of picking them up and looking at them, and I fucking threw one, and all of a sudden he was just like, he started throwing them, and he was having so much fun, and I was like, hey man, like I might have the duty to teach this kid about sports or throwing, and like the choices that we're going to make with our children are going to obviously dramatically affect them, but it's going to also affect the collective, because what you either show them or don't show them, they're going to take with them.
100%.
And so just through the, like Ian Lungle, the speeding up of consciousness, the whole if you teach them to be shitty people, or you're a shitty person to them, or you pass on, I won't even say shitty, you just pass on ineffective fucking practices.
Yeah.
They're going to just have to take that much more time. It'll probably be shorter than your time.
Oh, yeah.
But they're going to have to take a portion of time to figure that portion out,
It goes back to that book you're talking about. Like, can you imagine 4 generations ahead of you?
Right, yeah.
I want to program my son so that he programs his son so that he programs his son. So by the time I'm 4 generations, they're gods.
But through that programming, I believe there's a fundamental unchanging value system, enlightenment, awareness that we can teach our children that will allow them at a minimum, no matter what scenario they're in, whatever that 4th generation looks like, the technology, the geopolitical atmosphere, whatever, that they're going to have those fundamental tools to harness whatever consciousness they need to harness to move past that. Like the ability to teach them about meditation or understanding themselves, no matter what situation they're placed in, they're now going to be able to fucking have tools to say, hey, this isn't what I want.
Right.
And I'm going to affect it through these things that I was taught.
Right.
Where if you look at what we have been taught in the U.S. or Western nations, is not that. It's a separation. It's a fucking kill or be killed.
Them.
It's a get what you can get, take care of yourself mentality. And, if there's time, you can be nice to your neighbor, or, donate some money or whatever. But anyway, so yeah, man, I think that's some shit I've been thinking about and being exposed to and contemplating, and it's nice.
It is nice, man. It's all getting better. I gotta take a piss.
Yeah, no doubt. I know, and I gotta rock actually here.
Oh, you
quickly.
do?
I do. Yeah, it's almost 5:00.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, I gotta get home and take care of little man.